Hey Sagittarius, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today with your May 2023 monthly horoscope. These horoscopes are based on whole sign Western astrology, so I'm talking about Sagittarius rising. They're also applicable for Sagittarius moon and Sagittarius sun. If you don't know your rising sign, you can go to any one of the free birth calculators on the internet, and all you need is your exact time of birth and your location to determine that information. Also, these videos are based on the Pacific time zone, so please adjust for your location on the planet. So May is a big month. We've got Jupiter moving into Taurus. We have the second eclipse. We have Pluto going retrograde. We have a change in the moon cycle this month. Just lots of stuff going on. So let's jump right in. So Sagittarius, Pluto is retrograding. It's been at 0 degrees Aquarius, and on the 1st of May, it will begin retrograding back into Capricorn. It will return into Capricorn around June 11th. It will spend about 127 days in retrograde and go all the way back to 27 degrees of Capricorn before moving forward on October 11th and ultimately moving back into Aquarius in January 2024 for the next 20 years till 2044. So this is very, very powerful energy. Aquarius is your third house. This is the house of your siblings, the house of your mind, how you think, how you process information, how you give and receive information, how you communicate. Aquarius by nature is very innovative. It's very, sometimes they call it shocking. And I think it might be shocking because the ideas are so forward that they literally feel like they're coming from somewhere else. And I think there's a potential that my Sagittarians may really start to go into an area of innovation, of experiencing yourself in your everyday activities, doing something very different. And I almost want to go to technology, as if there's the potential that you will either employ new technologies or learn new technologies, or even potentially invent new technologies that will serve community, serve the collective in many ways. Aquarius rules the collective. It rules the collective consciousness, humanity in general. It rules raw genius. So there could be a real potential that you will start to, as Pluto retrogrades through Aquarius and then goes into your second house, which is the house of money, the house of resources, the house of my self-worth. And the house as a Capricorn, it's the house to build wealth, to build something in the material. So I think what may be going on here is that you will start to find yourself interested in new things, in innovation, in technology. You could even find yourself being more interested in aliens and alien things that are being discovered. I watch a lot of Ancient Aliens on the History Channel. I love Skinwalker Ranch, which is all about exploring portals and space and potential aliens and stuff. So you may find yourself very interested in things like that. It's going to be an exciting time for you to explore, I think. On the 5th, we have our second lunar eclipse of the season. Or I should say our second eclipse of the season. This one is a full moon lunar eclipse, and it is in the sign of Scorpio, 14 degrees Scorpio. That puts the moon in Scorpio, the sun in Taurus, and the sun is going to be conjunct Uranus. Uranus being at 18 degrees. I believe this is very powerful because it feels like some sort of epiphany, that the eclipse itself is illuminating something that's really liberating me from where I've been, or at least from the way I've been thinking about something, and offering me new options that I might not have considered before. This lunar eclipse is kind of the beginning of a new moon cycle. We had 2 new moons in Aries, and that changed the the moon cycle from a new moon and then a full moon to a full moon and then a new moon for a period of time. It's going to flip back, I think, in a few months. I was watching Molly McCord. That's how I got that information. And I thought it was very interesting and super powerful, because usually we plant our seeds in the new moon, in the darkness of the new moon, and then we wait for an illumination that the full moon offers us. This time we get to that full moon illumination before planting our seeds. So it feels as if it gives us clearer sight and actually opens up more opportunities for us. So this eclipse for you in Scorpio is in your 12th house. This is going to me, bring some information to light that you might not have realized. The 12th house by nature is the house of the unconscious. Sometimes it's referred to as the house of self-undoing. It is the last house of the zodiac where we are about to leave the physical experience and rejoin the collective. And oftentimes this can represent a pull between, the earthly experience being very challenging and difficult. The 12th house by nature rules places where humans are stored, in prisons, in mental hospitals, in orphanages, in foster homes. It can be a challenging house where we feel unseen. So I want to offer it this way for my Sagittarius, is because by nature, your 12th house is Scorpio. I think you're going to have a powerful illumination about something that may have been inadvertently influencing your decisions or influencing your life experience. And now this illumination, this culmination, this willingness to dig deep into your own personal psychology and platform of choice making is going to give you an opportunity to really liberate yourself. That's the way I want to put it. I feel very much as if this lunar eclipse and the conjunction to Uranus is giving me a feeling of, I can move on past this. And I want to offer it this way, because when I say move on past it, it doesn't mean I'm releasing it. A release sometimes feels a little bit counterintuitive to me. I prefer an incorporation, because at the same time of the lunar eclipse, we have Venus at 27 degrees Gemini. So Venus is here in the sign of thought, the sign of communication, the sign of my siblings, the sign of my community, my neighborhoods, my interactions, my everyday interactions. Now Venus is making a square to Neptune in Pisces. Pisces is your 4th house. So here there's going to be what I feel is this opportunity for you to really have an illumination about your own sense of self and how potentially your childhood and the experiences you had with your siblings, your cousins, your schoolmates when you were younger, how that has inadvertently influenced you. And as you have this epiphany, it gives you an opportunity to make new choices. I always think of the squares as a version of myself that I'm used to, that I default to. Almost a reactionary side is one side of the square. And then the other side is an innovative part of myself, an evolved part of myself that is not exactly natural to me yet. I still have to put intention and focus on it to implement it. And that's why it feels uncomfortable. So the square between Venus and Gemini and Neptune in Pisces in your 4th house, Gemini being your 7th house, is going to illuminate anywhere in any partnerships where you've allowed things to get a little bit misty and foggy. Maybe you've been wearing some rose-colored glasses. Maybe you've been living on hope instead of on what you've been actually experiencing. And there's going to be an opportunity for you to start to reevaluate this. And I want to offer it this way, because at the same time we have this square between Venus and Neptune, we have a sextile between Venus and Jupiter in Aries. And Aries is your 5th house of romance, of creative expression, of hobbies and fun and entertainment and playful energy. It also rules high school children. So I think what you're going to see is this sextile is giving you a favorable boost up. It's giving you Initially, the lunar eclipse is giving you some information that's illuminating a situation that's causing you to have to make a decision, that's sort of putting yourself first versus maybe what you've done in the past. And in doing so, you're feeling a sense of independence and expansion as a result of that, and a willingness to venture in a place where maybe you normally don't venture. We also know that Aries naturally trines your first house. So this, again, this Venus sextile to Jupiter is also Jupiter making a trine to your house of self. So this feels very favorable to me. We have on the 7th, Venus will move into Cancer. Cancer is your 8th house, again, offering real transformation. And when I say transformation, I feel as if it's not about leaving the old behind. It's about building upon the old. The 8th house by nature is a house that involves other people, and it can involve a codependency, either through physical intimacy, through financial commingling of money. It's a house that by nature is full of power and control. It's also a very deep psychological house. And this is where we go back to the 8th house is naturally Scorpio, which is your 12th house, which is where we were seeing this lunar eclipse. So I think that as Venus moves into Cancer, your sense of self is going to transform, your ability to self-nurture, to trust the inner knowing, to trust that voice. Sagittarius by nature represents the connection to our faith, to our religion, to our feelings of God, and how we find value through our religious practices. So again, I feel like there's an opportunity to anchor in a little bit more deeply into a new version of yourself that feels very warm and fuzzy. I also want to offer this because Cancer naturally rules the 4th house. It rules the experience with the mother or the parent that sits supporting the zodiac, I would want to say, because I think the 10th house rules the parent of the public eye, who people see the most. So sometimes the 4th house can actually rule the father if the mother is more visible to the community. So this may inadvertently bring up energies as to how you have processed your home, your nurturing experience through your parents. There's also this weird possibility that you could be craving experiences from your childhood, like foods from your childhood, or wanting to watch television shows that you watched when you were a kid, or even getting into maybe Disney movies for some reason, things that nurture myself. On the 14th, we have Mercury going direct in Taurus, and this is your 6th house of service and work. We'll also have a new moon in Taurus. As Mercury goes direct in Taurus, I have perceived this as a very different Mercury retrograde. I was doing my meditation before I filmed my Mercury retrograde video, and Spirit nudged me to go look at the time of the retrograde, not just the day, but when is the time Mercury is actually going retrograde. And it turned out to be conjunct the moon at 15 degrees Taurus, which is the Gemini degree, which represents how I think, how I process information, how I communicate. So I felt very much that the whole Mercury retrograde has been about reviewing my emotional body, how do I give and receive love? How do I nurture myself? Am I constantly pounding the pavement to get that deadline met? Or am I balancing a work, play, work, family dynamic more effortlessly, more easily? I think this is really important because the eclipses that we had were both ruled by Mars. The solar eclipse in April was an Aries eclipse ruled by Mars, and this lunar eclipse is co-ruled by Mars, primarily by Pluto. So there's a sense of being brave in this moment, of really deciding I want to be the hero in my own life. And in doing so, I'm going to really assess how I give and receive love. The mutable signs oftentimes, I think, can inadvertently give things up for the greater good, for the greater good of the family, the greater good of the couplehood, the greater good of those that I care about. And having this eclipse in your 12th house of feeling unseen can very much, this Mercury retrograde could very much be giving you pieces of information that said, it's time for me to be seen. It's time for me to allow my talents, my voice to step forward. And it may not be stepping forward towards other people, but towards your own wants and desires. Hence, Sagittarius moving into a foreign new land, a new emotional land for you. On the 17th, your ruling planet again enters Taurus. Taurus is your 6th house, which could very much give you an opportunity to look at how you are of service to others. And this could be now, instead of looking at them and actually serving them in a physical way, this is what you're now representing, a higher ideal, an opportunity to do something different. And I want to say it this way, because Taurus by nature is ruled by Venus. So this 6th house is riddled with creativity for me. It's riddled with things that bring me joy, make me feel comfortable, make me feel cozy, make me feel at home. So as you have had these epiphanies and you've had these awarenesses, I feel like Jupiter moving into the 6th house for the next year, a little over a year, is going to give you an opportunity to rewrite that 6th house service, that work dynamic. That also, it could very much influence you to start to look at your eating habits and to renovate them in a way that supports your body and fuels your body versus just feeding your body. This might be very powerful. The initial Jupiter moving into Taurus, it's going to square Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, and it's going to begin a square with Mars, as Mars is exiting Cancer and starting to move into Leo. This is very powerful because it feels as if this influence goes on not only starting with Jupiter's entry into Taurus, but it goes throughout the whole rest of the month and into early June. We will see Pluto and Mars come into an opposition as Mars moves into Leo and Pluto is doing its retrograde in Aquarius. We're going to see this opposition start to form a grand fixed square between the nodes. And this is going to create a feeling of being boxed in. It's also, as your ruling planet Jupiter gets closer and closer to the north node, it's going to give this ravenous, this almost this push for change, really wanting that now, and having a bit of impatience and a bit of frustration attached to anything that's boxing us in. Now, the opposition between Pluto and Mars is very powerful to me because Mars ruled both of these eclipses. So there's an opportunity to dig deep into my heart and to what's important to me. Aquarius offers me liberation, and Leo is one of the main themes about Leo is having the courage to allow my heart's expression. So I think this is going to be very powerful for you, and especially because your ruling planet is starting a conjunction with that north node. And that influence is going to take place around the 20th. And that'll be, I think it's in its tightest energy on the 20th. But the day before that takes place, we have the new moon in Taurus. A lot of Taurian energy. So this new moon in Taurus, again, is in your 6th house, planting new seeds. And this time we have the opportunity of the full moon, that lunar eclipse, that full moon in Scorpio gave us some deep information, deep psychological information about our own imprint. And now we can plant those seeds with more confidence, with more self-assuredness. And that is evidence because the new moon is making a trine aspect to Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. The new moon is at 28 degrees Taurus, which is the Cancer degree, which is about my intuition, about my inner knowing, about my gut instinct, about how I give and and receive love and how I can take that in, self-care. The new moon is also making a sextile to Mars at 29 degrees Cancer, and it's making a sextile to Neptune in Pisces. So Cancer is your 8th house, Pisces is your 4th house. There's a transformational opportunity where you can reconcile an experience, and rather than having it continue to pull you back into an old story, now it can launch you into a new territory with new experiences and help you to feel much stronger in your ability to create those experiences and have those experiences sustain you, have them be continuing on and building upon them. On the 24th of the month, I think this is going to be a super emotional day. We have Mars has moved into Leo. It did so on the 21st. The sun moves into Gemini on the 21st, and the moon will join Mars on the 24th, triggering that opposition, which is now triggering that grand fixed square. So this is a day to be aware. And I say this because if there are certain situations that are already inflamed or already a little tense, this might be a day not to rub up against them, not to address them, but rather self-care, take care of you so that when you do have to ultimately address it, you feel more rested, you feel more emotionally balanced to do so. We also have a rather emotional day about a week later on the 31st, when the moon now has a conjunction with the south node. So the moon is zipping around the zodiac in the month of May, triggering all of these points on this grand square. And I think that the fixed nature of the square is giving us a piece of information where we may be rigid, or where we may be holding on to something that is actually thwarting us from moving our story into a place that's more enjoyable, into a place that we have been longing for. And I kind of want to offer for my Sagittarius is that while you literally represent geography and moving to a new place, this feels very much like it's coming from your faith body, it's coming from the interior and now going to be birthed into the material. So a new sense of self, a new sense of strength within yourself. And again, having Jupiter move into your house of work, of health, of pets, Taurus, I think you could birth a whole new career for yourself, or birth a new level of your career over the next year and some months. So if you've been a sous chef and you want to be a chef in your own restaurant, you may open your own restaurant over the next year. There's real possibility for not just expansion in the material, but expansion also within the interior, your sense of self and your self-worth. Okay, that's it for my Sagittariuses. Again, my name is Teri Hunter. If you'd like to do an intuitive reading or get your astrology chart assessed, I am available. I also would like to invite you to join me on Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Pacific time, where I do angel spreads and a tarot card for each one of the signs and get the angel's advice for traversing the week ahead's transits. Please hit that notification bell, hit the subscribe, like, comment. I love it all, and I'll see you soon. Peace out, Sagittarius.